I got tear stains on my hands and the mirror's vision of what used to be. 1,000 miles from nowhere, time don't matter to me. 1,000 miles from nowhere, and there's no place I want to be. 1,000 miles from nowhere, time don't matter to me. Well, I'm 1,000 miles from nowhere, and there's no place I want to be. Jumped the gun a little bit, sorry. I should know better. I know this song pretty well. At least in my head. My most challenging key, probably. 1,000 miles from nowhere. Not quite sure. Actually, I am quite sure that I didn't nail that performance. One I'm definitely capable of nailing, but I didn't nail it at all. Nope, I couldn't have nailed that song if it were in a women's prison and I had a credit card. Hello. Yeah, just making sure that we're still recording. But the key of C is like one of the most challenging keys and probably most difficult for me to try and reach with my vocals. And I was really struggling with that song. So not to make excuses, but that's just my take on it. So it looks like we are definitely recording. And so I'm gonna just take a quick listen so I can get a general sense of the performance and try and evaluate it for my own personal use. And then I will leave you for this segment. My first obstacle is to complete discussion question number 2 for this week. Once we get that done, I will come back and chat a little bit and have another segment and perhaps sing another karaoke song, yet to be determined. So I'm going to go ahead and give this a little listen, and I'll get back with what I was talking about in just a second. Almost done reviewing this. Kind of sounded like a dying animal there, but all in all, I'd have to say I'm fairly pleased with the results. Given my initial impressions of that performance, this is how I would actually describe it. I would say that, excuse me while I pose for the obligatory photo. I like to take goofy photos. Okay, so I'll save that picture. Not as bad as I thought, not as good as I'm capable of. That's the best way that I can describe that performance. Not as bad as I thought it was initially, but certainly not as good as I'm capable of seeing. Okay, so picture saved. Save the recording. And voila. Um, that recording is now saved. Um, and while we're here, maybe what I'll do is go ahead and see if we can't find our next song for the next segment so that when that time comes, it'll just be ready, queued up, and ready to go. So without further ado, we'll go to page 2. And there's some interesting choices. I'm going to try another challenging song, The Eagles, Already Gone. Yeah, that's what I'm going to do. There were some good choices on that page. There was George Strait, Amarillo by Morning, and Elvis Presley, Always on My Mind. But I've never sang Amarillo by Morning. It's not, I'm a huge George Strait fan. It's not one of my favorite George Strait songs. And then the Elvis one I've sang a lot. So I figured we'll just go with the Eagles. So that's what I'll sing the next segment when I come back. Last thing two things I want to touch upon before I say goodbye. It's about 1:45 here on the West Coast. I'm hoping that it won't take more than about 30 minutes to an hour to complete my next academic related task. So hopefully you can look for our next segment somewhere in a window of about 2:15 and 3 o'clock, if that helps at all. And then the other thing I wanted to say is one of the cornerstones of this broadcasting network in recent time has been the fantasy football component of it. And I know that, like, in some of my previous, most recent broadcasts, I've really kind of hyped that up a lot and have not really delivered anything in the way as fantasy football. So I apologize for that, and I will work on that. But I'll give you one little fantasy football tidbit right now. My first pick in the NFL draft is going to be Brian Banks, even though he's a linebacker. So how about this? Whatever team that signs Brian Banks to an NFL contract, where even if he's not a starter, I think I'll take their defense in as my very first overall pick in our live fantasy football draft for Football Mania. So there you go. I just gave you some breaking fantasy football news. And with that, I have the next song queued up, ready to go. Now all that needs to be done is I need to complete some mundane academic bullshit, if you'll excuse my language. And once I do that, I will be back with another segment. So thanks for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed it. You've been watching Chris Leslie on the CAL-X Broadcast Network.